Hello there, I'm Vine and this is my personal opinion about the finally released 4.0 update and Biogenesis expansion. Technically, I'm repeating myself since the previous PerOp was also about that, but this time my opinion is updated by experience with the finished product. First, I started my experience with the music from Biogenesis expansion, since I had some house chores to do before playing, so I played the new album in the background while doing the housework. I must say the theme of synth with instruments imitating organic sounds is very nice to listen to and very much fits the biopunk vibes of the expansion. For some reason, it invoked mental images from the Alien franchise in my head, though I doubt this was intentional, but definitely a nice experience. Then, after an hour, I finally put my hands on the 4.0 Phoenix update plus Biogenesis. For context, I haven't played the beta. I never played the test version to not spoil myself any fun and to not create any info chaos for myself with dynamically changing features in the testing phase. Although this time that decision was foolish, as I realized that this official release is actually an unofficial gamma testing version. Yeah, in my previous PerOp I was right with the agile approach to Stellaris development, as constant imperfections are the main downside of this approach and Paradox committed them again. The more they change the game, the more you see it, and since they changed it a lot, there are a lot of issues with it. But don't worry, this video is not a bug list for Paradox to fix, though I will mention some UI issues. My second prediction was Pops just losing one attribute but staying in the game mostly unchanged. And as we see, I was also right about that. Pops are here, now responsible directly only for population growth. Paradox didn't even bother to change their resettlement interface properly. I hope they change this soon, as we really don't need a list with indistinguishable pops. They need to give us the faction info here or just properly group them into one entry. I would prefer the faction info since now Materialist can spawn in my Spiritualist empire anyway, so I would like to resettle them all to the penal colony to oppress them properly. Now, let's move to the thing that I was wrong about in my last video. Planet mechanics changed as much as with 2.0. Comparing them to the tileset change was not an overreaction. At the time, I thought that since pops won't change in essence, the mechanics change will also be mostly cosmetic. But nope! Devs went full monkey on the planets and the resource balance. I have to admit, at first I had mixed feelings about this, as the planet management is the element that I enjoy the most in Stellaris, and I feared that my beloved dual planet build was getting nuked just like my long invalid habitat builds. In essence, this was the case, as building slots are now all over the place and we can specialize not only planets but also districts themselves. But after experimenting a little with it, I'm starting to suspect that some Paradox dev actually saw my builds, because these specializations are in essence the mentally projected zones that I was using when developing my planets. And now they give bonuses! Like, is this for me specifically? I can design a dual planet build again and make it even more efficient than previously. Moreover, I can design a viable self-sufficient planet or a specialized planet. Even a hyper-specialized planet is possible now. Screw my empire builds, I'm designing planets now. This is wonderful. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I noticed a couple of UI issues immediately. First, when I specialize a district, the basic description box should be updated with specialization bonuses and the icon should change to something else. Also, unemployment icon on the outliner is useless now. Previously it indicated an unemployed pop, now it's indicating a percentage of unemployed pop. And since pops are now growing from strata, it fires off repeatedly for arbitrary unemployment that is no issue. I don't need to know there is a one unemployed elite on the planet, especially when he can demote or migrate. My issue with this is a bad information flow. I need info boxes with all currently relevant bonuses and icons that indicate information that has an actual value to me. Current design is noisy. Yes, I can still work with it and enjoy the game, but I really hope that these issues won't be ignored. Okay, moving along from complaining to overall mechanics. Because Paradox changed the balance, specifically the tempo of the game. Though I don't know if I'm fully correct about this, as my playstyle has suboptimal openings by default because I'm a builder player. Anyway, the thing is that the early game now is even more slow and bumpy than before. I even thought they nerfed technology again because I had such a hard time building up research income. But no, after 50 years when bonuses finally started to kick in, I snowballed with everything to a ridiculous level. I suspect that default game balance now includes difficulty adjusted technology cost, difficulty adjusted AI modifiers and scaling difficulty. So playing with them switched off, like I do, breaks the game balance after 50 years. Keep that in mind when starting a new game. For me, it's a cue to go harder in my evaluations on empires that don't have rush mechanics in single-player mode. Yes, since we are on the for me topic. In the last PerOp I finished the video with the consequences of the update for my channel. I still plan to remake my old builds, no changes here. I even found a possible exploit for one of them, so I know what empire build remake first. But since the last video, some things started to change. First thing is the fact that I kinda built up a backlog of requests. Since I pushed most of the trade-focused empire ideas for later to work on them after the trade update. Even the build that goes public on Monday is a necrophage request one. Also, after the update, I wanna do planet builds again, which is another thing on the same list. So now I have material for a year worth of content. This is also a lot of work, which in part is to do research in the game, community and wiki. I like researching and coming up with new ideas, but I don't wanna fall into the grind, so I would like to reduce my workload a little and improve the information flow for video requests, since YouTube likes to shadow ban comments for no reason. Couple of times some of you suggested a Discord server in the comments. I always dismissed the idea because I'm antisocial, but for the last few weeks it started growing on me. Because it will let me organize a swarm intelligence of Stellaris players that would actually help me work by just being themselves. And maybe I can even ask some of you to check my scripts for bad English. So, well, join my new Discord server, where as a channel community we now have a visible request list, share exploits, empire themes, memes and in the future probably even more. Invite link is in the description. All are welcome except people under 18 years old because I'm racist against children. Also, I'm still reclusive AF, so I'll be there only while working on my videos. Last thing. I should also stop sabotaging my channel with videos that don't interest people. This does not mean that I'll stop making other content like overthinking, but time-lapses and Pathfinder builds are going on indefinite hiatus. Also, I probably delete a big chunk of my old videos, especially Let's Plays, because I heard that having a lot of low performing videos makes the channel look bad in the eyes of the algorithm. You are now informed if someone was actually enjoying this. So, ending the video, what do you think about my opinion on 4.0? Maybe you have a better one? Let me know in the comments and see you later!